When you hear there's a new action comedy directed by Peter Farrelly, starring Mark Wahlberg, Walter Hauser and Sacha Baron Cohen, expectations are naturally going to be fairly high. Farrelly is responsible for comedy classics such as Dumb and Dumber and There's Something About Mary, while Wahlberg has built a career playing lovable everyman heroes, and Cohen remains one of the most gifted comedic performers of his generation. Unfortunately, Balls Up never quite lives up to the talent involved. Released on Prime Video in April 2026, Balls Up is the kind of film designed to be consumed on a lazy afternoon when you don't want to think too much. It's loud, silly, occasionally funny, and completely disposable entertainment. While it has its moments that work, thanks largely to its cast, the film is undermined by weak writing, questionable research, and a complete lack of authenticity regarding the sport and culture it attempts to portray. At the end of the day, this is a film that is easy to watch, but even easier to forget. The story behind Balls Up is arguably more interesting than the movie itself. Screenwriters Reese and Wernick, best known for Zombieland and the Deadpool films, reportedly wrote the screenplay more than 20 years ago. The script then spent decades sitting on a shelf before eventually finding its way into production. The lengthy development process may explain why parts of the film feel strangely outdated. Many of its jokes, characters, archetypes, and plot beats feel as though they belong to an earlier 2000s studio comedy rather than a modern streaming release. The film eventually found a home with Amazon MGM Studios and Prime Video, with Peter Farrelly signing on to direct. Principal photography would begin during July 2024 at Village Roadshow Studios in Queensland, Australia. Despite the story being set largely in Brazil during the lead-up to the football tournament, much of the movie was filmed in and around Brisbane. Local landmarks, including areas surrounding Brisbane City Hall, were used throughout production. The film assembled an impressive supporting cast, adding Shannon, Benjamin Bratt, Daniela Melchior, Eric Andre, and Chelsea Crisp alongside its leading stars. Given the resources involved, it's surprising how cheap parts of the final production feel. The lack of official football branding is particularly noticeable. Teams are clearly meant to represent Argentina and Brazil, wear generic uniforms and branding, making the entire sporting backdrop feel unofficial and somewhat disconnected from the reality. It just comes across as rather tacky, as surely the likes of Amazon MGM could get the copyrights on Argentina and Brazil's actual uniforms. Now, Peter Farrelly remains one of Hollywood's most fascinating directors. Alongside his brother, Bobby Farrelly, he created some of the most beloved comedies of the 1990s, including Dumb and Dumber and There's Something About Mary. However, his career has always been wildly inconsistent. For every comedic classic, there seems to be a critical disappointment. Films such as Movie 43 sit at one end of the spectrum, while The Green Book, which would go on to win the Academy Award for Best Picture, sits at the other. His most recent work has continued this trend. Ricky's Stenicki received mixed reactions, and now Balls Up joins the category of Farrelly projects that simply failed to leave a lasting impression. Firstly, we have Mark Wahlberg as Brad Lewison. Mark Wahlberg does exactly what audiences expect him to do. He's charismatic, energetic, and effortlessly likable. The role doesn't ask much of him beyond playing a slightly clueless protagonist caught in an increasingly ridiculous situation. Wahlberg isn't the problem, though, with the film. In fact, he's one of the reasons it's slightly watchable. Now, Walter Hauser continues to prove why he's one of the most versatile actors working today. His comedic timing is excellent, and he brings genuine warmth to Elijah. While the script doesn't provide much depth, Hauser manages to elevate the material through sheer personality alone. The chemistry here between Hauser and Wahlberg becomes the film's greatest strength. And without these two actors trying their best to at least make this work, I think this would have been one of those films you'd want to turn off quickly. Benjamin Bratt brings a welcome sense of professionalism to the movie. As one of the tournament's executives, he embraces the absurdity without ever feeling like he's mocking the material. He really seems to let go and have a lot of fun with this role, and it's good to see Bratt trying this out. Shannon remains one of comedy's secret weapons. Even with limited screen time, she delivers exactly the kind of quirky energy that fans have come to expect from her. Now, for me, the undisputed highlight of the film has to, of course, be Sacha Baron Cohen playing Pavio Koto Bunshin. Cohen plays a wildly over-the-top Brazilian crime lord and absolutely steals every scene he appears in, not to mention, of course, he's the older brother of the famous supermodel Giselle. His character is ridiculous, exaggerated, and often completely detached from reality, but that's exactly why it works. Whenever Cohen appears on screen, the film suddenly becomes just that more entertaining. It's not an exaggeration to say that his performance alone single-handedly improves the movie's overall rating. Without him, Balls Up would be significantly harder to recommend. Unfortunately, though, this is where the film begins to struggle. Considering the pedigree of Reese and Wernick, the screenplay feels surprisingly flat. There are occasional laughs, but many jokes fail to land. Much of the humor relies on stereotypes, misunderstandings, and situations that feel recycled from dozens of better comedies. The story itself is incredibly predictable. From the moment the protagonists meet, it's obvious where their relationship is headed. Rivalries become friendships, enemies become allies, lessons are learned, everything unfolds exactly as expected. There are no surprises. The film follows a familiar path from beginning to end. Now, one of the biggest criticisms of Balls Up is its lack of research. Several mistakes stand out. The film is heavily tied, of course, to the Football or Soccer World Cup. However, the movie suggests Brazil is hosting the tournament in 2025. In reality, the FIFA World Cup was scheduled for 2026 and hosted by the United States, Canada, and Mexico. For a film built around football or soccer culture, this is a remarkable, noticeable oversight. Now, at one point in the film, Bratt claims that the Iguazu River contains the largest waterfall in the world. That is incorrect. The Iguazu Falls is one of the world's largest waterfall systems, consisting of more than 275 separate waterfalls, stretching roughly 2.7 kilometers. The tallest single uninterrupted waterfall is the Angel Falls in Venezuela. During Brad's infamous presentation sequence, a medical slide incorrectly labels multiple parts of the female anatomy. The fallopian tubes, uterus, cervix, vagina, and labia minora are placed in incorrect positions. It's a seemingly bizarre mistake that somehow made it through production into the finished film. Now, perhaps the film's biggest weakness is how little understanding it seems to have of the subject it covers. Brazil is portrayed through an exaggerated collection of stereotypes, rather than a real place filled with diverse people and culture. Similarly, the film takes little to no time to actually understand the backdrop of the whole film, which of course is the Football or Soccer World Cup. I understand it's just sort of used as a plot point, but the filmmakers never seem to actually take interest in the sport or try and learn anything about it. Fans of soccer or football may find themselves frustrated by how little authenticity exists throughout the movie. Now, Balls Up isn't a complete disaster. It's competently made, reasonably paced, and occasionally funny. Mark Wahlberg and Walter Hauser have enjoyable chemistry, and Sacha Baron Cohen is genuinely hilarious whenever he appears. But beyond that, there's very little substance here. The writing feels dated, the plot is predictable, and the film's understanding of football and Brazilian culture ranges from superficial to outright inaccurate. It's the definition of background entertainment, a movie you throw on while scrolling through your phone and promptly forget it the following day. Would I watch clips of Sacha Baron Cohen seen again on social media? Absolutely. Would I ever want to watch this entire movie again? Probably not. Balls Up has the ingredients to become a memorable action comedy. It has a proven director, talented writers, and a cast packed with comedic ability. Unfortunately, the final product feels like a script that spent 20 years waiting to be made. There are a few laughs along the way, and Sacha Baron Cohen delivers the best performance by a considerable distance, but ultimately the movie lacks originality, authenticity, and true staying power. It's harmless entertainment, but little more than that. Balls Up gets a 4 out of 10. So what did you think of Balls Up? Please let me know down in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dive reviews.